Hello everyone, it is Teresa from Teresa's Spot for Art. I love sharing art from my heart and teaching you how to create a little joy in your life through some fun, simple, and sometimes challenging art projects. So I'm going to do my July painting, and I am full of paint. I'm going to do my July painting, and I'll turn you guys around and we will get started. What do you think? So I have this all traced out. These are my July flowers. Geranium, the cherry blossom, the larkspur, and then a dragonfly. So this is my July series. These are my 5-minute flowers, and now I'm going on. I have this scene sketched out already. A rocking chair on a porch. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to get out this about 1/4 inch flat brush. It's about as wide as my pointer finger. You see that? And we will get started. We put out a little bit of light blue, a little bit of white, a little bit of gray. I could just add a little bit of black to my white if I wanted to. I'm going to put out a couple of greens over here, and I might get a pouncing brush for the greens. We'll see. All right, and that's good to get me started for my background. Okay, I'm going to load my brush up with a little blue. I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to do a little bit of sky, and I want to bring it down. Okay, so this is the top. Okay, just gonna bring it down a little bit, just like that. Okay, and I want to get a small pouncer. This is a pouncer. It's called a scruffy brush. You use it in a pouncing motion. I'm gonna pick up my greens. I'm gonna get both of them on here, and I'm just gonna pounce in back here. This is gonna be a little bit abstract. This is in our background. We know there's greenery and trees back there. We don't know exactly what. It's off in the distance. It's like the blurry background, and our focal point is going to be what's on the porch. Let me pick up, I forgot my, I use that divider from my art book, but I don't have it, and it's over there. I don't want to go and grab it, so I just keep tapping away. And I'm going to tap in here in between our posts. All the way down. Now this is just all background. A couple of our things are going to need more than one coat, and we're just working on color blocking and getting the background filled in our project. Using the scruffy brush. I want a variety of greens going on back here, and I'm just pouncing in. Oh, was I covering that the whole time? The background. If you have a brush that you don't love, that's kind of on its way out, a regular flat brush, you can use it for this pouncing as well. Okay? I have a little bit more over in here. This way, if it's a brush that you're not going to use again for its intended purposes, for the flat, for the chisel edge, you can use it in here for pouncing, and you won't care if you continue to ruin it. All right? So there we go. Oh, I forgot to put on my time lapse. One second. There we go. There we go. Okay, put that aside. All right, I'm gonna go back to my flat brush. Give it a good rinse. Dry it. And pick up white. Now you would say my canvas is white. Yes, that is right. but we have to clean up all the pouncing. And we want to add some shading. Our white has a different texture than our canvas does. So even though our canvas is white, I'm still going to come in here and paint in my railings with white. I'm also going to pick up a little bit of gray to do some shading and highlighting, but we will get to that. Right now it's all about the base. It's all about the base coating. I'm just pulling down the white posts. Okay. Fill that in. And now we're just going to start filling in our patio here, or our deck. And pick up some gray, pick up some white, and I'm just going to go back and forth with the white and the gray and do the wood slats on the base of our porch here. I want all my brush strokes to go in the same direction. So even though they're on an angle and I'm skipping over the chair, I want my brush strokes to go on the same angle as the porch. You will be able to see some of them, and you want it to be uniform. You're not just going to come in here willy-nilly and paint in the white. There should be some rhyme or reason to how you paint this. Now I'm leaving this section over here because these are two big potted plants and they're going to overflow with paint. They're going to overflow with plants, not with paint. Silly me. Okay. And then we're going to start on this other section. Now this one is more out front. That's why it's a little bit wider and larger than the one on the left. It's a matter of perspective. And I'm just going to fill all this in with white. It's our base coat for now, and then we're going to go back and I'm going to show you how we're going to shade and highlight all these parts of our porch. Okay? All right, so we got our floor done, or our base coat of our floor done. We have our posts done. We have our background over here. We have a little table here, which I'm going to paint white for now too. And now we're going to start on our siding. So I'm going to load my brush with white. I'm going to put a corner in the gray. I'm going to keep the gray to the bottom, and we're going to paint our siding. Load my brush with white, put a corner in the gray, and come over here and paint our siding. Now we can go back and add the gray to it later if we wanted to, but it's just as easy to do it right now with one stroke. Putting the gray on the corner of our brush. White, gray. And even though our porch is on a slant, the wood siding on the back is straight. So we want these to be as straight as possible. I'm just going to fill in that side. Okay. Okay. So we base coated all over the stuff with white, put in our siding, put in our railings. I think I'm going to go back and do a second coat on our railings because we want to cover up our green. Some of our branches are showing through. Okay. All right, that's what we have so far. That's the handrail there. This is another part of the handrail here. Okay, I'm gonna wash my brush. I'm gonna get out a little bit of this raw sienna. More sienna and a little bit of brown. Okay. I'm gonna dry my brush, pick up some more sienna. I'm gonna paint in my flower baskets here, or my clay pots, whatever they are. I guess they're more clay pots than they are baskets, right? I think that one's a basket, but this one is a clay pot. Okay. Again, I'm just color blocking, base coating, whatever you want to call it. And the same thing with this one. Our art goes through quite a few stages before it gets to the point where we can call it done. There are layers. We work from the bottom up, building on what we painted on before, and we don't judge until, well, we don't judge at all. But we can't say, oh, I messed it up. Oh, I don't like it. Oh, this, that. Nope. We have to be patient. We have to continue painting. And then at the end, we'll be like, wow, I did that? Holy moly. And that's really what happens. And a lot of times my painters, they can't believe it. They come to my in-persons or they come to my online classes and they're like, no way. And then yes way. When all is said and done, they're like, holy moly, I can't believe I painted that. And they do. So I'm just going to put a little bit of faux weave on this basket. Picking up a little bit of the, and then a little bit of white. Okay. Okay. Put a little bit of glare then on this one. The inside of our basket and the inside of our pots is a little darker. Not that you're going to see this, because we're probably not once we start adding in all our flowers and our greenery. But you never know. Okay? I'm going to wash my brush. And while we let that dry, I'm going to move on to our chair. So I'm going to put out a little bit more white, and I'm going to get out some, what is this, Fawn? Yeah. It's a little bit of a tan, light brown color. Okay. Now I could use a bigger brush for this, but I'm not going to. And I'm going to start filling in my chair with the white. Now this is a pretty detailed chair. I'm not going to lie, you guys, it's a little bit of a challenge for me, but I'm okay with that. I don't mind the challenge. It's the only way to grow. If I never challenged my stuff and my artwork, I wouldn't get anywhere else with it. I'd constantly be painting the same exact things and never getting anywhere. So I am challenging myself. That is the reason for these monthly series where I'm teaching myself 3 new flowers a month and then challenging myself with a design I wouldn't ordinarily paint, just to stretch my creativity and my practice a little bit. And I say this all the time, it is about how I feel when I'm painting and not necessarily the outcome of my artwork. So I can sit here and paint, get lost in the creativity, chat with my peeps, and just have a grand old time, not worrying about what the outcome is going to be, and knowing that I'm not going to be judged for it. Let me wash my brush, and I'm going to get out now my flat brush again. So far we've used a scruffy brush, about this 1/2 inch flat brush, and my liner brush. And I'm going to pick up the white and the tan, and I'm just going to start adding a little bit of texture to this chair. I put my white on a little thick with my liner brush, and I'm roughly, is that a word? Adding in some of this tan, almost dry brushing it in, and making my chair look a little textured. I don't want to overblend. I want some darker, some lighter. I did my white thick on purpose, and now my tan is not over mixing, and I'm roughly adding it into the white to give my chair a little bit of texture. All right, I'm gonna come over here, and now I'm gonna paint in the top of this little table. I picked up a little bit dark brown, add a little bit of shading, and a little bit of shading to the legs of the table as well. Oops. While I have this dark brown on my brush, I can add it into my chair as well. Go back to my liner brush, and I'm going to do the slats across the back of the chair now. I didn't draw these all in. I probably should have. And then I'm going to pick up the brown. And I'm just pushing the brown. Again, not too much. My liner brush is wet. I'm mixing the brown with the white. Put a little bit of shade. And then I'm going to come in here and do the scrolls. And more, a little bit of shading to the front. If you can notice, I'm holding my liner brush all the way down, almost to the bristles. Gives me a little bit more control over it. And now while I have my blue, and for no other reason except that it's on my palette, I'm going to paint this book blue. It also adds a nice little pop. And just the back end there. To the rest of our tan, to our earth tones. Adding this blue book in here is a little bit of pop to what else going on here with all of our earth tones. So somebody was out there reading on the porch and they got bored and they decided to head inside, maybe get some iced tea. Wash my brush a little bit. I'm going to get a mixture of the white and the tan and just paint in our pages. A little more white. Okay. There we go so far. I'm going to go back to my scruffy and I'm going to pounce in backgrounds of both these flower pots. Pick this up again. Oops. That's what I said. Background is background. It doesn't matter that much because once all is said and done, we go and add in so many other things to our artwork that something that was bothering you, something that you might have spent 10 or 15 minutes on trying to fix, you don't even see it anymore. It's totally hidden away in the back, gone. Okay. Let me pick up a little bit of white and fix this here. Now as we let our green dry, this way I hop around, while we let our green dry, I'm going to go back to now working on our porch. I mixed a little bit of black with my gray. I wanted to get a little bit of a darker gray going. And now I'm going to put in these lines here for the planks on our porch. Okay, and then I'm going to come and I want to add a little bit of shading to our posts and the rest of our details on our porch. If it starts to get a little dark, I'm just going to pick up some white and tone it down a little bit. The important part when you do this shading, you want your shading to go in the same direction as all your elements. So, the shading on the knobs, on my pillars or my bolsters or whatever you want to call it, the posts of our porch. Down here on the square part, they're going to go straight up and down, and up here on the round part, they're going to be a little rounded. The same thing here. Working on this side of my post, they're going to be a little bit rounded. And then you don't see the square part down on this side because our flower pot's there. I'm going to shade a little bit on the bottom of all our railings. And our crossbars down there. I'm going to shade a little bit under the chair. So although we painted it all white, we need to have some shading in here as well, because the table, the chair are all throwing a little shade. So I'm not full coverage, but I'm dry stroking in some gray, and a little bit darker gray than the gray we used. I added a little bit of tiny black to it to get some shading in here under the chair and off to the side where the table is. I'm going to fix this a little bit with some white. I might add some greenery in there later, we'll see. We shall see. Alright, so we have our posts, we have our crossbars, we have our greenery going on in the background, and then we have our two focal plants right here in the front. Alright. And I'm going to get my liner brush. I think I'm going to put out magenta. Yeah, I think I'll put out a little bit of magenta. Alright. I'm going to pick up my magenta, and I'm going to start making clusters of flowers. All I'm doing is making 5 little strokes. Picking up some paint, 5 petals. Picking up some paint, and I'm just pushing down my brush. Some of them can have 3, some of them can have 4. I like them to all go towards the middle. That's why I keep turning my arm around. They can be different sizes. It can be thick, sparse, as many as you want. And I'm just going to keep layering in here these flowers. I might put a different flower in the other basket or the other pot. I don't know, we'll see. But for now, I'm just putting these in. I like to see the greenery in the background. That's why I pounced it in at first. And I'm just adding in these little flowers. They're all different sizes. They can be thick, they can be thin. You can put as many of these as you want. We might have some little petals that fell down on the ground. Okay. And I'm just tapping in. They're almost like in a star. Most have 5, some just have 3, some have 4. That one's a little thick. I'll just move that paint. Okay. And that's 1. And then maybe I have pink out, so maybe I'll just use this pink. I didn't even clean my brush. And now I'm making these little daisies. So these I'm doing more. And these, instead of tapping, these I'm pulling in strokes to the center. I use my dirty brush. So I have a combination of the magenta and the pink on here. And these are more daisy strokes. They're a little bit bigger. And there's quite a few more, so maybe like 6 or 7 for every flower. If you can see, I'm leaving the center empty. We're going to go back in and we're going to add centers. We're going to add a little bit more leaves too to this. These are very abstract, random placement. You just want to fill in all this greenery, and you'll see when we start to add the centers, you'll see how the flowers are really then going to pop. Again, I haven't cleaned my brush, and I just go back and I'm picking up more paint. And I used pink because I had pink from my previous project. You could have done these in white, in yellow, purple, whatever color you want. We're even going to do a few of these. Now these have all of them going downward, and I'll show you how we're going to put the center on those. Those are more like a little bud. I'm going to put the center at the top of those instead of in the middle. We'll do another one right here. Okay. Now I'm going to get my white, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to put white in the center of all of these. Now see how that just, they went from being little abstract strokes. Where I put the 3, I put it at the top. Where I put the clusters, I put it in the middle. Now suddenly you add a center and you have flowers. Isn't that pretty? Who would have thought, right? And then for these, I think I'm going to put yellow. There are some, honestly, when I go back and I'm like, where was the center? You know what? It doesn't matter, because wherever I put the dot, that now becomes the center. Okay, I think that looks good there. And I'm going to wash my brush. And dry it. Now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go back into this green, into this dark green. And randomly add in little strokes of a leaf. So we have the background, we pounced it in, then we added our flowers, And now with the liner brush, we're just going back in and we're adding in leaves, and these really pop now because they're only the one color. Put a couple down here onto the flower pot. I'm just putting little strokes. They're a little thinner at the top, flicking in, but you can really see them and they pop because instead of being the mix of the dark and the light, now they become just the dark and they really, really pop. I'm filling in some of the empty places, empty spots. We can even pick up the light and put a few little light ones if we wanted to, just for some contrast. These can actually even be, maybe this is spilling down a little bit and then comes along the bottom there. A couple more little light ones. And then I think up here I'm going to get, I need a little one. Oh, I'm going to use my liner brush, it's fine. I'm going to grab my liner brush. I'm going to get my dark green. And I'm just going to paint a vine up this side. And then I'm going to start adding some leaves to it. And these are going to be all different colors. These are just going to be the background leaves. Then I'm going to get out a smaller liner brush. A smaller flat brush. Just want to balance this. We have all that green and the plants going on the one side. We're just going to balance this now with having some greenery on the other side. I'll load both colors with my brush. And I'm going to come in here, I'm just going to add in some leaves. The dark green, the light green. Got the little background ones going, pointing out. This is trailing up. Okay. I'm going to get my liner brush again and add in some stems to the leaves that I painted. Plus I want this one, it kind of wrapped around the post. And we need some stems. There we go. Then if we wanted to, we could take the back of our brush and pop in some berries. I'm just using the magenta here. I'm using the back of my brush and I'm putting in clusters of 3. going up the vine. And there we have it. Let me turn you guys around. So here is our July painting. I hope you like painting that with me, and I will see you again next time. Thanks.